Kurt, are you ready for lunch? We have a beautiful pizza that we grilled outside on our grill. We have grill marks on the bottom. It's nice and crunchy. I'm gonna cut that up for us.
Looks awesome.
And then we have our venison wrap that we did it in the style of black and blue. That would be the blue cheese and the bacon.
Yep.
Makes it the black and blue. So we'll just cut those up.
That really does look nice. It's absolutely beautiful. See, your stone was just a touch too hot, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could have cooled down just a touch more, but I think it's gonna be great. My name is Scott Boslevich on Wild Things Show. Today we're going to be doing some wild game recipes with my good friend Rich McNutt.
Hey, how you doing? And Scott, I brought you a friend today. Kurt Hyde is from Appleton, Wisconsin, and he's a sausage expert. So he brought us some sausage to cook our meals with, and he'll be with you while you cook. So you get to show him how to cook, and he gets to show you about sausage.
That's great. I can use the help today. Kurt? Hi, Kurt.
Hey, new Scott.
Good. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to have a good lunch. We're going to make some pizza and a wrap. And we're going to make a really quick dinner that we can show your wife how to make, or you can make for your wife.
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Well, I'm a sausage maker. I have a side job. It's really a side job for me, but I cut a couple hundred deer a year in my shop, and I make a couple thousand pounds of sausage just for family and friends. I had done it 30 years professionally, and now I do it as a fun hobby.
Cutting up deer is a hobby for you.
I love
That's
cutting.
Interesting.
I love cutting, and I love making sausage. It really, it's very rewarding when things turn out good and when they look nice and taste good. It's very rewarding to me, and I'm blessed that my whole family enjoys eating venison, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to make a venison really desirable.
Really desirable, yes. So we don't end up with a freezer full of meat at the end of the season, and nobody wants to touch it.
Correct. Our household, we're out of venison every year before the season starts, and that's
the goal for everyone.
That's our goal. Yep.
All right, let's get started. We'll make some pizza crust. Okay, we're going to start off with a half a cup of warm water. And what you want to do is you want to get it warm. Just tap water is fine, as long as you run it hot, because you don't want it too hot, otherwise it'll kill the yeast.
Okay.
I'm going to put a half a cup in. Then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, rather. And what that does is it gives the yeast something to eat and activate.
Very similar to summer sausage. Summer sausage has starter cultures in where you have to have sugar and it ferments. But that summer sausage, that tang, that sweet sour tang.
What other seasonings do you put in your summer sausage?
Well, there's a lot of seasonings that go in summer sausage, but it does have to have about 1% sugar in to provide the starter culture to feed on, and it produces an acidic byproduct that gives it that sweet sour tang that magnifies the flavor. There's about 2% salt in the summer sauce, and then just a lot of flavorings. There's such a wide array of flavorings you can put in there. That's why summer sausage is.
I love summer sausage. Eat it all year.
Yep.
What I'm doing here is I'm putting 2 packets of yeast in. I'm just going to mix that up. You can see it's starting to froth a little bit. We'll just let that sit and work for a minute.
So how long does that have to sit before it starts eating the sugar?
Like 3 or 4 minutes. I usually let it sit. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to take, we have 4.5 cups of flour. We're just going to sift that. All right, I'm sifting the flour here to add a little bit of air and make sure that we don't have any flour lumps or anything funky in there. It's 4.5 cups. Now what you're going to do is we're going to add a half a teaspoon of salt. And it's going to bring our flavor profile up a little bit. We're going to put 1/3 cup of olive oil in. Make a little reservoir here to hold it. Now we're going to add a cup of warm water. So your kids like to eat pizza? They make a lot of venison pizza?
My kids love pizza. So do I.
We're gonna add our yeast and sugar mixture, water.
Okay.
Get it all in there so we don't waste any. Now we're just gonna start to fold it in.
Now what makes the crust stick together? Because now it's so fluffy. Is it just the moisture, or is
Well, you have the gluten and the flour.
okay?
That's gonna do it in the moisture. And the salt I activated too, kind of similar to your sausage. That they put a lot of salt in your sausage, right?
Well, the salt added to sausage because that is what actually makes sausage bind. The salt in meat dissolves meat proteins, and it makes it sticky. So the more you work it, the more friction you add to it. The more you mix it, the more bind you'll get.
It's pretty much what we're doing right here.
Okay.
As soon as we get this mixed in, we're gonna put it on the cutting board here, and we're gonna knead it.
So the more you mix that, does it get a stronger bind?
Yeah, I'll make it
Okay.
more stretchy and more elasticy.
Okay. That's very similar to sausage. If you have crumbly sausage, the most likely factor for crumbly sausage is undermixing or not having enough salt in there. And when we say enough salt, we're not talking a lot of salt. It just needs some salt in there. You should never taste salt. You should never taste the salt. That's obviously offensive. But
That's too much then, huh?
yeah, but it needs just a little bit of salt to extract the proteins, makes it gooey, and it creates a nice tight bind. Tight bind meaning not crumbly.
As I work this, it's gonna all come together in a nice ball. Now, if it's a little bit dry, it's really easy. All you have to do is wet your hands and keep kneading. And that little bit of moisture will make a big difference.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it takes a little experience to be able to tell if it's moist enough or too dry.
You see how it's all starting to stick together? We'll just go with our hands one more time.
Because I pictured dough as being not having them cracks on there. That's really mushy.
It will be real nice and mushy when we're done here. You actually have to have a little bit of strength to knead dough.
That's good. We'll work up an appetite.
Yeah. See, it's still a little bit dry. You don't want to add a lot of water at one time because then you'll be too wet.
Okay.
We're getting a nice ball here. When we get this all ready to go, we're going to stick it in our bowl. Nice clean bowl. We're going to put a little bit of olive oil on top.
What does olive oil do to the top?
What it does is it keeps it from drying out
Okay.
in the process. Okay, and then we're going to take a clean towel and we'll cover it up and we'll let that sit for an hour. Now that it's had time to raise for a good hour, I'm going to pull it out and we'll work it a little bit more. What we're going to do here is we're going to cut it in half. We'll put half away for later. Cut that in half.
So how big a pizza is this? That little bit of crust, it looks like a small.
Doesn't look like much, but it's going to turn out to be a pretty nice sized pizza. It should roll out to be about that big. We'll get a little bit of flour. Now we're going to use some of your Italian sausage. What do you have in there?
Well, we have some Italian sausage we made from our venison. And Italian sausage is a really versatile product because you can make it bulk, which we're going to use today. Then we crumble it up and put it on pizza. You can also have a stuffer. If you have a stuffer, you can make it into links and have it like a sausage link. You can make it into meatballs. You can add it to your spaghetti, just crumbled, or in meatballs in your spaghetti. So it's pretty versatile. And the Italian sausage we're going to use here is a fresh product, so it's not cured and smoked. So some of the easier things to make at home out of your venison is fresh products, like bratwurst and Italian sausage.
Well, that's nice because then you don't have any thaw time too.
Right. And you don't need so much equipment. You don't need a smokehouse. You really don't need a stuffer because we just are making in bulk. So it's very easy to make. If you can make a hamburger, you can make Italian sausage.
I can definitely make a hamburger. Now what I'm doing here is I'm rolling it out, and you roll from the center to the outer edge, not from the edge to edge. You want to keep the flour on it so that it has a chance to move on the cutting board and stretch and hold its shape. It doesn't have to be perfectly round either, because we're going to grill this on the grill. Most people don't have a round grill anymore these days. And then if you need to impress your friends, you just pick it up and you use the tops of your hands and give it that spin. And what that really is doing is it's just stretching it out. It's using centrifugal force to bring the dough out to the edge. Okay, we're good to go. Just give the grill a minute to heat up. We're going to make 2 crusts right away. If you put a little bit of flour on here, you can fold it up, carry it out to the grill. Make the second one right away. We're rolling out our second dough, which we'll make a lunch sandwich out of. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to dice up an onion, and we'll get this started. In the meantime, why don't you tell me a little bit more about your sausage?
All right. Well, not only is this going to be a delicious pizza, I can tell, but when we make our own sausage, we can make it as lean as we want. So we normally shoot for about 85% lean, and some people think, boy, that still sounds fatty. It has 15% fat in it, but it's considerably leaner than what you're going to buy in the grocery store. So that's one cool thing we can do with our own sausage. We can make it as lean as we want. About 15% fat or 85% lean gives us probably the maximum flavor we're going to get out of it. If we make it 90% lean, which you can if you're a little bit more fat conscious, it just tends to get a little bit drier. Of course, on a pizza that will probably
I'm always worried about our fat conscious.
Okay. And you can make it as lean as you want, especially on something like this one that's in a pizza or mix in with a flavoring and a sauce.
What we're doing here is we're just doing a nice fine dice. And we're going to caramelize the onions, which means actually just kind of browning them.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do that in a little bit of olive oil, so we'll turn on the stove here.
Okay.
Get the pan warmed up. A couple spoonfuls of olive oil. There we go, a couple shakes. A little bit of extra olive oil in your diet is a good thing. Olive oil is a good fat.
Yep.
So that's what I like to cook with it.
And it really tastes the same as all the other oils, correct?
Well, as long as you use it in moderation. If you're just eating olive oil, it does have a distinct olive oil flavor, which I kind of like. If you would just like dip your bread in it. You can also infuse it with different flavors, with chili peppers, with basil, lemon, thyme. Lemon thyme is real good.
Okay.
What we're gonna do here is put about 3/4 of that onion in there. We don't want to make it too oniony. And we'll just let that cook for a couple minutes. Now you have a website too, right, Kurt?
Yeah, we have a website. On that website, we have an instructional DVD on cutting deer. We have seasonings and recipes for making sausage. We have on there cutting supplies. Because what I did a few years ago, I put a YouTube video out. A friend of mine videoed me cutting his deer, and he thought it was pretty cool.
He called you. He didn't want to do it himself?
Well, he said, "Why don't you teach me how to cut a deer?" And I said, "Okay, I'll do that." So after we did a few of them, he said, "Boy, you're pretty quick. Do it as fast as you can. I want to time you." And I deboned a deer, completely deboned it in under 8 minutes, and he put it on YouTube. And it really got a lot of attention. It has about 1.5 million hits on it.
Wow, that's a lot.
So it was pretty interesting. That's what inspired me to get a website, because on the YouTube video, people were saying, I like the video. I want to learn how to do this. And I thought, well, I don't teach it. It's just what I do. I just do it as a hobby because I love cutting.
So you got to slow down for your video to
So
show
we
them.
slowed it down. We broke it into scene selections, and we covered knife maintenance. And because that was the next thing they asked was, boy, how do you keep your knife so sharp? Because the knife was really sharp on the video. So we explained knife sharpening and mainly knife maintenance, which is using a steel. And we broke it into scene selections so that we cover caping a deer, skinning a deer, cutting in the steaks and chops.
What's
and all that
caping?
Stuff. Caping is when you want to mount a deer, when you got a head mount.
Oh, okay.
So you skin it in a little different fashion, so the taxidermist is happy and they can.
Most people don't realize too that the actual bones aren't in a deer head when you have it mounted. It's just the skin.
You just skin it out. Yep. We skin the whole face out. You literally just skin the whole face out from the ears. Even the ears get turned inside out. The nose gets turned inside out, and everything.
Because you have to take all the meat off there so that it wouldn't spoil or stink in your living room, right?
Yep.
All right, this is starting to cook here. In the meantime, while this is cooking, why don't we go out and put some grill marks on our pizzas? We got the pizzas going in here warming up for later, but for right now we're going to set it aside. We'll take the crust. Flip it on.
Wow. Everybody loves grilled wild game, grilled pizza. I love pizza.
You got the best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
The grill, you're standing outside in the beautiful weather. Check it for a second. This takes really fast. Goes really fast. As soon as you see it starting to bubble, flip it over.
So this is a pretty quick meal, really. Once you get your
yeah.
dough prepared, it's only on there a few minutes.
If I was going steady at it, I could probably make pizzas in about 20 minutes. Taking out the rising factor, of course. You can make the dough ahead of time and let it rise and portion it up and put it in your freezer. And then just pull it out in the morning if you're making pizza at night. Pull it out and put it in the fridge. And when you come home from work, it's all ready to go.
So when you freeze that, you freeze it before it rises, probably, right?
You let it rise the first time.
Okay.
Then you freeze it.
Okay. And then when you put it on the freezer, it will rise again.
It'll start to work a little bit more, and it'll get nice and soft.
The yeast stays alive and it's still raising.
Yep. See how we got? Okay. We got some nice grill marks going here. We'll just let it cook for just another minute.
How hot is your grill?
We have it at about 350 degrees.
Okay.
Hot enough to put marks on it, but not so hot that it's burning the dough.
Okay. Wow,
Set that one aside.
that didn't take long at all.
No. And if you don't have them perfectly round, then they look homemade.
Yeah.
That's a trick.
That you do this. You can tailgate and do this.
Oh yeah, easy. You make these ahead of time at home. Have them all ready to top. You just finish them on the grill at your tailgating.
That would be
And
awesome.
people would think you're a cooking god.
Yep. That's easier than I thought. When you said we're going to do a pizza on the grill, boy, how do you make a pizza on the grill without burning it? And
Having it run all over the place. Yep. See how we have the nice little bubbles starting here? Not quite dark enough yet. Let it go. We're gonna top the pizza and we'll finish it up back on the grill.
Okay.
So, you know, another reason I'm using my hands to flip the pizza dough is it's really not that hot, and if you use a pair of tongs or a spatula, you're gonna rip the pizza skin.
Whatever you're doing, I'm in.
Not quite there yet. Now the second dough we're gonna make a wrap out of, so we're not gonna want it as hard. We're not gonna cook it as much because we're gonna want to roll it up and it'll crack otherwise. It's like that's perfect. This one, we're gonna put that stone back on the grill. Do you hold this, Kurt? Don't touch the stones. Put the stone back on there to warm it back up. You want to show them?
Show them this, yeah. There we have our crust. The grill marks on it. It's cooked. Looks delicious.
It's going to be great.
Summer sausage? I could talk all day about summer sausage. Summer sausage is my favorite sausage, and it's most people's favorite sausage. But summer sausage is one of the more challenging ones to make. To make a true summer sausage is a fermented product. And fermented, I mean by it has starter cultures in, much like yeast in bread, it has starter cultures in there that ferment and cause an acidic byproduct and gives it a tang. A homemade summer sausage, if it tastes good and the flavor is good, but you just feel like you're missing something, it's missing that acidic tang. It's a little sweet sour tang that magnifies the flavor. That's tough to get at home unless you understand how to ferment products with a starter culture, and that's pretty easy to do. I sell a lot of seasoning kits on our website, and everyone has very detailed instructions. So even if you've never made sausage before, any kind of sausage, we explain it very well. And because I really feel, Scott, that there's no reason people can't make sausage at home and have it be every bit as good as their local meat shop. You should be able to make it better, really. It doesn't take all that much equipment, doesn't take all that much extra expertise.
That way you can kind of control too what it's going to taste like and what you're putting in your body.
Yep, you get your own meat back for sure. You can make it as lean as you want, and it's not very difficult. What are you adding there? What are all the seasonings?
What I'm doing here is I'm making I'm making an Italian season mix. So if you have Italian season mix at home, you can use that. Mm-hmm. What I did is I put a half a teaspoon of basil in, a half a teaspoon of tarragon, and a half a teaspoon of oregano in.
You're mixing it with the onions.
Yeah, we're going to saute them to release the flavor.
Okay.
And then we're going to put in a teaspoon of fresh garlic. When I say fresh garlic, I mean chopped garlic from the grocery store. Mm-hmm. You obviously can chop up your own garlic too, but to save time.
Smells really good.
Yeah, you should. The seasoning flavor is going to start coming out here. What I have here is a can of crushed tomatoes. Okay. It's a 28 ounce can of crushed tomatoes. I'm going to use all of it since we paid for all of it. Now we're going to have a little bit of extra sauce here when we're all said and done. But that's a good thing because we can have it in the fridge and it'll last a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And you get, because obviously when your kids taste this pizza, they're going to want more.
Well, sure. You probably could even put it on toast. It's just a...
Oh, sure.
If you have leftover pizza sauce, save it.
I always have pizza sauce and marinara in the fridge, ready to go for a quick dinner.
Probably be good on a bratwurst or an Italian sausage.
Oh, some of your Italian sausages and a hoagie bun. Sure. Saute up some sweet peppers and onions for on there. Be awesome lunch.
I don't know if we made enough.
We'll probably use about a third to half of this for our pizza.
Okay.
Now that's starting to look like some good pizza sauce, huh?
Yeah, it's thickened up nicely.
Yeah, we're going to turn it up just a little bit here so we can get it to to reduce a little. Now I use a nice thick pan too, so you can have the heat a little bit higher than you would normally. But if you have a thinner pan, you want to definitely just cook it a little bit longer on a lower heat so that you don't scorch it. You don't want that burnt flavor taste.
Right, I see the onions just turned clear. They didn't brown at all. They just turned nice and clear.
If they brown a little bit, that's fine too, but we're getting impatient for lunch. So we'll let that cook. Ideally it would cook for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
On a moderate heat, just to bring all the flavor profiles together.
Okay.
All your basil, your oregano, your thyme. The sugar in there is just to cut, a little bit of brown sugar is just to cut the acid in the tomatoes.
Okay.
We're going to put a little bit of salt in too, probably half a teaspoon. What I do is I pour it on my hand. I pour it on my hand first and dump it in so that I don't accidentally put too much in.
Right.
It's getting thick now, that's why it's starting to pop. So we'll just turn it off.
Now, if you were to add green peppers and other flavorings to your pizza, would you add it in the sauce now, or would you sprinkle it on later?
I'm gonna actually add some peppers and stuff onto the top of the pizza. So we'll just put a little bit of sauce.
That's enough sauce for about how many pizzas? 4 pizzas or so? 3 pizzas?
You can probably get 4 out of there. 3 to 4 pizzas.
Okay.
And what you see here is I'm putting sauce on, but I'm not putting it on super thick, because if you put it on too thick, all your toppings slide off.
Okay.
Because then it makes like a water. Yeah, I'll have too much liquid in between the cheese and the crust, and the cheese won't adhere to the crust.
Okay.
So we'll just slide this forward and we'll cut up some peppers.
Flavor difference between the green peppers and the red peppers and yellow, or is that more of a decorative thing?
What it is, it's both.
Okay.
A red pepper is actually a ripe green pepper. If you leave your green peppers on growing, eventually they'll turn red. People that grow the peppers, obviously they have a trick, because when I grow my peppers, they don't always turn completely red like this.
No, by the time they turn red, they present as overripe and get a little shrivelly in my garden. But okay.
Just need a little bit of pepper.
Are they a little more sweet when they get red?
I think so.
Okay.
People say yes, and people say no.
Okay.
I think so. Now that onion that we saved from the sauce, we put it on top.
Okay.
Now we have your sausage. Your bulk Italian.
Yep. Right.
And what do we all have in here?
Well, so when we make Italian sausage, or almost all venison sausages, venison is such a lean product that we normally have to add pork or beef trimmings to it to get it to be more flavorful, because too lean and a little dry means a little more mild flavor. So we add about 1/3 pork trimmings to that. So the finished product's about 85% lean. You can make it as lean as you want, but we have, like I say, about 2/3 venison and 1/3 pork.
Now when I was placing the sausage on the pizza, what I did was I kind of pressed it down to make them flat.
Okay.
That's so that they cook faster and they cook all the way through. If you have round balls on your pizza, it's going to take a long time in the oven to cook, and it probably won't be done in the center when your cheese is brown.
Okay. Could you pre-cook your Italian and crumble it on there, or is
Of course you could. I like doing it fresh.
Okay.
But you could definitely pre-cook it, especially if you had some left from a dinner in the fridge already cooked that you made and you had cooked too much.
Okay.
Definitely, and pretty much you can put anything on a pizza that you like.
Right.
Today we're going to put on a little bit of red pepper.
Okay.
We'll put some onions on there that we saved from before. And then we're going to put some, I like to use baby portobellos. It gives it a little bit more rich mushroom flavor, a little more woodsy.
Okay. Yeah, the normal button mushroom you get in the store is a very mild mushroom.
Yeah, this is going to add just a little bit more flavor. And then, because we're always worried about our health, we're going to sneak a little spinach on top.
Okay.
It'll give it some green color, and you won't even realize that you're eating something healthy. I'll grab a little spinach.
I see we had 1 pound of Italian sausage, and that really is a lot of sausage.
Oh yeah.
So you probably only have maybe a 1/4 pound on there, or maybe less. About the
Yeah,
size
I
of a
probably
hamburger?
only. Yeah, about the size of a hamburger or the size of one of your Italian sausages.
Okay.
One of your Italian sausages, your fresh Italians, you could easily take the casing off
Yep.
and do the same thing.
Yep. Or you probably could even slice it thin and put them on there. But you're right. It'd probably be best without the casing.
It's gonna look like a pizzeria made it if you use it without the casing. Now what I did was I just ran the knife through it so that when you take a bite of your pizza, you're not gonna pull it out and all of a sudden it's gonna take all the toppings and everything because it's connected.
Okay.
So I just quickly ran the knife through it. And this green is gonna actually look really nice through the cheese. I'll grab some cheese.
If it tastes as good as it looks, Scott, it'll be a good day. Now the Italian sausage, and almost all sausages, you can make out of just the trimmings. We normally wouldn't use the steaks and the chops and the roasts to make sausages. Sausages are really handy because it's the same product you'd make, the same part of the deer you'd make hamburger out of. So it's the trimming. The pieces that aren't as tender or aren't as desirable to have as steaks on the grill because they're ground. So no matter, from the neck to the shoulders, it's a little more tough if you would grill them. When we grind them, they're never tough. And they taste the same. They have a lot of flavor. Trimmings has a lot of flavor.
Is there a trick to getting the silver skin and the fat out of there?
Well, it does have an undesirable fat. It's not like pork fat, where pork fat's a very mellow, smooth fat. We like pork fat. Everybody in the world likes bacon.
Right.
Venison fat is not the same fat. It's a low moisture fat. It's a waxy fat. So we like to get at least 90% of the fat off. Some people spend a little too much time, and they can if they want. But we don't want to see it be a painful, torturous job to trim your venison. So if it's 90 to 95% lean, that's plenty lean. The silver skin, we just take the big silver skin out. The small silver skin pieces get ground up and they don't know they're in there. And the silver skin does not have the off flavor. It's a fat that has off flavor, so silver skin of venison does not have the off flavor. In fact,
it just makes it chewy when you eat it.
It could. Well, if it wasn't ground. Now, when you grind it, it shouldn't make it chewy at all. If you have a good grinder with a good grinder, because if you think about it in the grocery store, beef has a lot hardier tendons and silver skin than a venison does, and they don't trim all the silver skin off of beef. So if you have a sharp grinder, you'll never know what's in there. As far as the off flavor, some people think the silver skin has the off flavor. Now, if you think way back old school, we used to make gelatin out of tendons, cords and tendons. If you melt them down and cook them down, that's how you get homemade gelatin, is from cords and tendons, and it does not have an off flavor.
All right.
It's the fat that has off flavor. And make sure we take care of our deer. Cut them out good, cool them off fast. That's what makes our venison taste really good.
We're not hanging them in the butcher shop for 4 weeks until we get to it.
No, we're not showing them off for 4 or 5 days. We're not listening to Grandpa when he said you have to age a deer to make them tender. Now that's beef that we age. We don't age deer. Beef have an enzyme within the marbling that makes beef get more tender as it ages.
So hanging it in the smokehouse until spring isn't a good thing, huh?
That's really not a good thing, no.
I just sprinkled a little bit of what they call pizza topping seasoning.
Okay.
Basically, it's an Italian blend. And what I did is I put it on top because it's going to add our flavor and it's going to give us a real nice look to it. If you don't have any pizza top seasoning or Italian seasoning, a little bit of oregano will work too.
Okay.
We're just going to put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on here and then we can put it all on the grill. Well, that's ready to go back on the grill and finish up.
Looks good.
Didn't take very long to put it together.
No.
And we have a lot of healthy things on there. We have the spinach and the mushrooms and the peppers. Thanks for the hand.
All right, you bet. You have to be a little fragile. It looks way too pretty to have it break apart on us. But that was fairly easy. That crust has a really nice texture to it.
We just have to be careful because we don't want to tear our crust because then it's going to leak all over when it's in the oven.
Okay.
Actually, when it's in the we're running awfully hot here. It's 500 degrees. We don't need it that hot. We're gonna open it up and cool it off for a little bit. So now we're down to about 350 degrees and we're gonna put the pizza in. And we'll just slide it real carefully onto the pizza stone. Close her up. And I would say that it's gonna take about 8 minutes probably to 10 minutes to cook.
So you had that on a stone. If you put the bread on the grill, would the crust get burned, or
Well,
why?
you could do it, but you need to turn the temperature way down.
Okay.
Because when you're grilling, obviously it's the direct heat on the bottom. Like if you're cooking in a pizza oven, you have heat all around, not just on the bottom. So what I did is I slid my pizza stone in there to dissipate the heat, make it more evenly, and that way it'll cook the pizza more even. And we still get the smoky flavor of the grill, and we already have the grill marks on there.
Okay.
So it should turn out wonderful.
And I see you had your stone in the grill ahead of time, so you want the stone to be warm.
Oh, most definitely. You want it to be the same temperature as as the oven.
Okay. Good.
It's basically we're using our grill as a pizza oven.
Yep. So we put that stone on there while we were making our pizza, just so that people know that we don't put a cold stone in there.
Right. Cold stone in the hot oven, it's gonna bust.
Yep. It'll probably make your dough a little mushy. Probably wouldn't crisp up on.
No. All right, here we go. Our pizza's looking great. It's been in there about 10 minutes. Ease it off. Thanks for your help, Kurt. Grab our Italians on the way in. Stay tuned and we'll be right back with our pizza. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Well, so I'm a sausage maker. I have a side job. It's really a side job for me, but I cut a couple hundred a year in my shop, and I make a couple thousand pounds of sausage. This is a summer sausage kit, jerky kit, one of the most popular and easy to make venison products. And we have a Landjäger, which is a type of a snack stick. Here we have an Italian sausage, which is a fresh product, not cured and smoked. That's what we use in a lot of our recipes today. And a Cutting Deer Right DVD. This stems from the YouTube video. Inspired the YouTube video where we had 1.3 million hits on our YouTube video where I deboned a deer in under 8 minutes. Inspired me to make an instructional DVD, a detailed instructional DVD on how to cut deer, and we cover cutting a deer, skinning, everything is deboned, knife maintenance, caping.
All right, Kurt, are you ready for lunch? We have a beautiful pizza that we grilled outside. On our grill, we have grill marks on the bottom. It's nice and crunchy. I'm gonna cut that up for us.
Looks awesome.
And then we have our venison wrap that we did it in the style of black and blue. That would be the blue cheese and the bacon. Yep. Makes it the black and blue. So we'll just cut those up.
That really does look nice. See, your stone was just a touch too hot, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could have cooled down just a touch more, but I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's really healthy, it's really delicious, easy to make at home, and it's a way to use our venison, our own venison, to make a great meal. That tastes as good as it looks, Scott.
All right, well,
we're going to have a good day.
Let's have some lunch.
You won't believe how great you can cook wild game by watching our professional chefs. Enjoy!